We often hear people say that there's something universal about music. What they probably mean is that it has some kind of a, within quotes, universal appeal. That music everywhere has an appeal, it touches the heart, and often it allows us to feel one with the world. This is not necessarily true of all musics, in the sense that all kinds of music, if you're dancing to a tune, or if it is raucous, loud music where you are literally agitated by the music itself, the physical intensity of the music in rock or other kinds of music. So when one says music is universal, they often mean that it is transcendental, that it evokes in us a feeling of divinity, being one with the world. This, of course, is a metaphysical description of music. But when we actually get down to the basics of music, we have seen how music is sound, it is hearing, it is interpreting based on memory, experience within the larger context of culture into which all of us individually are thrown. So let's try and look at what we might come to mean by the term universal, because a proper definition of universal would allow us to evolve a general theory of music, which is applicable to musics in different geographies, different historical epochs, all music. So, what is universal? The word universal is used in philosophy to mean a particular feature that is shared by different groups, different entities. For example, members of any group of the human species share in the universality of their being human and their humanness. All chairs, for example, share the quality of chairness. I mean, if you will allow me to use such a term. So which means there is something that could be from a structural point of view. Then you might typically have 4 legs for a chair, but you could have 3-legged chairs. You could have 2 large legs and a single log on which so then you have the function that the chair performs. So you could look at it structurally, you could look at it functionally, or you can look at it from a cultural context. What a chair means, for example, is a metaphor for a seat where someone is, a chair, for example, of a group is one person who sits and the others stand. So that person is exalted. So a chairperson is, in that sense, a cultural universal. So typically what it means that in the context of music, is there something that, or are there some things that all different musics share in them, between them? So if we are able to identify such universals, then we will be able to answer questions like, what is music? And what, for example, distinguishes music from language, speech? What are the origins of music? Is a birdsong is a whale song and music therefore. And also in the process, because if there is music across the world, that means everyone has music, every individual of the human species is capable of music, capacity for music, so which means it also can answer the question of human origins, because human musicality must have come at a certain point in time in the evolution of human species. Now, the fact is that, just to illustrate how, by looking at all the species that sing, all the animal species that sing and therefore within quotes make music, 4,500, apparently they have made a large list of these singing species. Human species is the only one which lives on the ground, which sings, which drums, which dances, and uses it to work cooperatively, to coordinate, and also to produce members of the species in perpetuation. Okay, so this is one fact. I'm placing this fact in context so that whenever we are raising questions about universality, you will know that we are talking about one of these 4,500 species. Now, why is this the case? So that obviously means that this musicality has evolved in humans, and the kind of separation might have taken at some point in evolutionary time. Can we actually locate that? That is another question, but it would be interesting to find out what exactly that is, and therefore compare contemporary bifurcations, divergences that took place in related species, and therefore also look at human origins, the clade that branched out, and so on. Now, there's another thing, because we are talking about divergence between two species. What is the difference between music and emotional utterances? Because emotional utterances are given to animals, like closest members of our divergent primate species. They all have emotional utterance. Even tigers have emotional utterances. And these emotional utterances, as we discussed in a previous video, they have intonations. And when we are happy, like there's a song, when you're happy, clap your hands. And so when you're happy, you gesture and intone your vocalization in a particular way. And when you're angry, there's another tone, intonation. When you're surprised, you gesticulate in a different way. And when you're aggressive, you show a different tone. So these are what separate because music ultimately is among many hypotheses that this emotional vocalization, utterances are at the bottom of musicality. And because musicality, as we will see, and that's what we are trying to understand, is universals in music. What exactly are these features that are common in all musics that are probably derived biologically from these kind of traits in us? And now, before I proceed with other aspects of what we will be talking about today, I would like to acknowledge my debt to Joseph Jordania, professor, and Stephen Brown, also a psychologist of music. These two have put together, and they have worked separately severally, and they have brought together, they have prepared a very interesting compilation of what they call as typology. Typically, what I'm talking about universals is what is shared, and they look at how sounds are maybe categorized. Now, they use category in a very technical sense. They use typology in a technical sense. I would not want to go into their technical definitions. For us, for our purposes, I'm using their typology and abstracting certain patterns from how they have looked at sounds. And it's a brilliant piece of work. It must have engaged their thousands of hours of work comparing different musics. And they say that this cannot be done across a table. I mean, it's not a mental, it's not an intellectual exercise, but it has to be done going to the field, listening to music, or bringing all the musics together, listening to them, and then extracting features, what we are talking about. I mean, I'm already jumping the quiz. What are these universals? Extracting them to compare different musics. And therefore, comparison allows us to define a particular member of a species sharing those features. So it's interesting. You look at all different musics, extract features and say these are common, and say one individual music has these features.